In the last 7 days, Donald Trump has been given multiple opportunities to really kind of, right the ship, stop with the personal attacks, and really get down to the heart of things, right? I mean, he's had several rallies, I think 3 or 4 rallies. He had the press conference on Thursday. So, what happened? You see, what is happening right now, of course, is that in spite of all the begging and pleading from his advisors, from Republican strategists, from his friends and donors, Trump is just sticking to what he always does, what he always has done, which is ignore policy, go for the personal attacks. And it's really interesting because, again, in the last 7 days, he's done multiple events that were actually supposed to be focused on economic issues. His press conference on Thursday was supposed to be focused on inflation. The day before, he had done a rally in North Carolina where he was supposed to talk about the economy. But instead of talking about the economy at the North Carolina rally, he did this. Talking about the Time magazine cover with Kamala Harris, he said, "They don't use a picture, they use an artist's sketch." So he's mad about a magazine cover. That's what he told the crowd. He's supposed to be talking about the economy, but instead he's talking about magazines. And then he criticized her laugh, calling it career-threatening and the laugh of a person with some big problems. But then eventually he did make it to the economy, and he said, "We're talking about a thing called the economy. They wanted to do a speech on the economy. This is an intellectual speech. You're all intellectuals today. They say it's the most important subject. I'm not sure it is," he says. Even though 40% of voters say that the economy is the most important issue, so compared to everything else, the economy is the most important issue to voters, and Trump's like, "I don't know that it is. I'd rather talk about the magazines. I kind of want to talk about her laugh. Isn't it weird? I've never laughed in my life. I am not a joyous person." But I want to reread something real quick. We're talking about a thing called the economy. They wanted to do a speech on the economy. This is an intellectual speech. You're all intellectuals today. Each sentence contains at least one word from the previous sentence. That is a bizarre speaking pattern. It's basically his incompetent brain's way of trying to link each sentence to the one before it. I'm giving a speech on the economy. It's an intellectual speech. You're all intellectual. It's so weird, but it is just further proof of this massive cognitive decline we have with this man, that he has to have these anchor words in the sentences so that he can build on it in the next sentence. It's insane that people are not paying closer attention to the way that he speaks and the words that he uses to remind him what he's doing. And of course, each and every one of those 4 sentences was basically just repeating what he had already said, because he can't think of new things. But it's so bad right now that Republicans across the country are, of course, starting to panic. One Republican, GOP strategist who spoke to HuffPost on the condition of anonymity, said, quote, "When he was running against Joe Biden, he was relatively on message. I'm not sure it's possible to get him on message in this race." So basically flat out like, yeah, he was doing a good job against Joe Biden. He was on message. And now he's not on message. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he can do it. Like, screw it. We're done. Now, here's my issue with this statement. It's untrue. Before Biden dropped out of the race, was Donald Trump out there actually speaking intellectually about the economy? No! Like, what the hell is this? What world is this GOP strategist living in? He was attacking Biden's cognitive ability, calling him Sleepy Joe, talking about the corruption of Biden and Hunter Biden. It was personal attacks. The only reason it worked, according to the polls, was because a greater number of people also disliked Joe Biden. It wasn't that Trump was doing better, it's that Biden, as the Democratic nominee, was doing worse. And these strategists, these smart people who get paid way too much money to do this for a living, they're not putting those pieces together. Not a single one of them. This strategist class, these advisors, get paid millions of dollars a year from the firms they work for or start themselves, whatever, at least hundreds of thousands. And they're acting like, oh, suddenly Trump is undisciplined. Suddenly he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, he was crushing it against Biden, but now, no! For the love of effing God, go back and watch any speech that Donald Trump gave from, August 20th of last year through July 15th of this year, July 1st of this year. All of those speeches where he's running against Biden, it's personal attacks. He's not talking about the economy. He's not coming up with an actual immigration plan. He's not waxing intellectual about foreign policy. It's personal attacks. So all of these strategists are lying to themselves about the sudden shift in Trump being more personal. No, you're all idiots. You're all overpaid, and each and every one of you deserves to be fired. You're that bad at your jobs. Speaking of people bad at their jobs, Mark Short, who served as the director of legislative affairs in the Trump White House, was more direct, and he said, Trump has never really been a policy wonk. I think it's discouraging to see him fail to draw a sharp contrast. If you present him with policy and the evidence it works, he's able to draw a contrast. I'm confused as to why he's not doing that with inflation and the border. Because he's an idiot. Like you said in your statement, you kind of have to explain it to him in small words. You have to okay, here's the thing we do, and here's why it works, and then here's the outcome of it. Do you see step 1, step 2, step 3? Very good. Oh my goodness, go get something from the goodie jar. So yeah, when you treat him like a kindergartner, sure, he can figure things out. When you sit there and explain everything to him so there's no confusion, he figures it out. But these Republicans are the ones in panic mode, not just because they think Trump is going to lose, but because they think he's going to cost all these down ballot Republicans. But in reality, it's these very strategists and advisors that are also living in this alternative reality bubble. They think that Trump was just absolutely crushing it with the voters before Biden dropped out. And again, that wasn't the case. A poll that came out just a couple days ago showed that Kamala Harris is winning over a majority of the so-called double hater voters. Voters that were not going to vote for either Trump or Biden because they disliked them both. Well, now she's cut the number of those people in half and they've gone to her. And it's not because Trump was good then got bad. It's because Trump was bad and they thought Biden was bad. I'm not going to say Biden was bad because I don't think he's a bad president, but they perceived him as a candidate, as a president to be bad. They didn't like him. Whatever it is, that's what happened. That's what the polls show. Don't get mad at me, get mad at the polls, but that's what it is. But these strategists are pretending that that never happened, that Donald Trump was the most eloquent, articulate individual to ever live until Biden dropped out of the race, and then suddenly Donald Trump's brain melted into goo. Watch your shoes. You don't want to step in it. That's what they think has happened. So they're panicking because they're ignoring the reality that the rest of us have been living in, watching Donald Trump go slowly insane in real time over the last few years. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.